909 aired tonight in the Flash's final season, the 9th episode of the final season. This is easily the best episode of this season. Probably one of the best of the Arrowverse as a whole. One of the best episodes of the Arrowverse, if not the best. This was an insane episode. My number one question is, where was this over the last 8 episodes of this season? Like, seriously. What the hell was going on with the writers where they're like, yeah, let's just put all these filler crap in, and like, here's 909. We're going up 20 notches. Huh? What was that idea process like? I really want to know, writers of The Flash. I want to know. Can you tell me? What was that idea there? But this is an amazing episode. I mean, it retconned so much that was needed to be retconned. So much was explained, like Oliver's return. I was right, by the way. I called it months ago, but no one listened. How many times have I been right? This isn't me bragging. This is me legitimately saying, how many times have I predicted what's going to happen? And everyone's like, oh, that's incorrect. And then, you know what? I'm bleeping right every bleeping time. Right, Death. I said, there's no way in hell she's from another timeline. She's from another Earth. Because that makes 0 sense. And what happened in this episode? Right, Death from another Earth. Oliver confirmed it. For whatever reason, Red Death believed that she was from another timeline that's on this Earth. But in reality, she was from another Earth. And I was right. And you know what else I was right? Oliver, as a Spectre, forced himself to return as the Green Arrow because the multiverse was in danger. There was no other threat over the past 3 years that, since Oliver died, that caused the multiverse to possibly go into a massive danger. So Bloodwork appeared, came back after 3 years of planning. Because remember, this is set up in season 6B, and the back is in 6. This is all set up. The Earth Prime Comics set this up. And it worked beautifully. It was easily the best episode of this season. I don't care. It was a 10 out of 10 episode. You know what? The Chalegra scene, probably the best Chalegra scene we've gotten on the series. Dick giving Barry his Hour's bow back, which is emotional to see. Knowing that Diggle still grieves Oliver, or he did, because he didn't get to say goodbye to him, which he did this episode, which is so much needed. I mean, it was bull what they did to Dick and Oliver in Crisis. Not letting Dick say goodbye after all that setup, and then I think it pissed a lot of us off, and they finally cleared that up, which is needed. Oliver saying, you have failed this city. I mean, that was perfect. We had a fight scene with Oliver, which is so much like a season 1, season 2, kind of season 5 fight too. It wasn't a one-shot, which, I mean, sucked. I was kind of hoping for one. But it had that camera movement like a one-shot. Danielle Payne-Baker directed the episode. She did an amazing job. No one could have ever directed this episode better than Danielle. Period. No one on this show could have directed it better than Danielle. I don't care what anyone says. Stephen Amell came back in as Oliver Queen. He knocked it out of the park. I don't care what anyone says about that either. Because there were people, I'm not kidding, saying that Stephen Amell is a blank actor. Not a good word. And, he wasn't delivering these lines well. Do I think he could have delivered some lines better? Yes. But at the end of the day, he came back and he did his absolute best with his full heart and soul. Remember, that final scene thing in the city in front of that museum that they've used like 100 times on the show, it took them 2 full nights to film that. It was like 2 a.m. for like when they finished wrapping. So I do think it's fair to say that they were tired. I think it kind of showed a little bit. But the excitement, the emotional impact. I said this months ago. 909 would be the best episode of the season. I wasn't crapping. I wasn't, BSing. I knew even then that 909 would be the best episode of the season because Oliver was in it alone. Dig coming back, Wally coming back, Bloodwork coming back, his story being wrapped up. And you know what? They fixed the number one problem I had with Bloodwork, which was they put him in Argus and he still had his powers. He could easily have broken out. The League had a team to stop him in the comics. They got rid of that. They retconned that. Oliver took away Bloodwork's powers. And you know what? He took away his HLH too. So Bloodwork is just a normal guy in an Argus cell now. They retconned the box, the green box that Diggle threw away last season. Oliver set all of that up. It was a test for Dig. And Dig passed it by staying with his family. It made that scene so much more emotional when you look back at it. And at the end of the day, when I gotta rewatch the episode now because not now 9, this is the episode where Dig threw away that box. Because I genuinely am curious if Eric Wallace was like, we're gonna have Diggle not become Green Lantern, is gonna throw away that box. And I was gonna come in and say this was his plan all along. I think that made that scene so much better now. I have to rewatch it to confirm that. And I will undoubtedly do another full video talking about that alongside Red Death. You know what, to be honest with you? I think this episode made the Red Death arc better. Because my number one problem with the Red Death arc that I could not get out of my head was that she's from another timeline on this Earth that makes zero sense. But she's from another Earth. That makes that storyline so much more better. Why didn't they say that in the arc? Why drag it out across 3 interludes? Jesus. If we got this episode in 906, or 907, wouldn't this season have been so much better? 910 looks amazing, by the way. My jaw dropped watching that promo, but holy crap. This episode had everything I wanted and more. Hearing that Arrow theme, which was, I cried during that. I cried a lot in this episode, but I got emotional hearing that Arrow theme, the full theme of the intro card. And they even put Green Lightning with an arrowhead, and when Oliver came back as Green Arrow. That was the cool thing they did, although the arrow did kind of look crappy. they took it from a PNG and just chopped the background off. I could have edited that better. I easily could have. Anyone could have. I don't know what they were doing there, but whatever. Maybe it looked weird because it was on orange lightning. It was a green arrowhead. I don't know. It was a weird effect, but it looked cool. It was cool that we got it. Oliver was still Oliver. I know it was something that a lot of people were worried about, that the Flash writers would affect who he is and who he's been. But, they know this character. Eric Wallace knows Oliver. And he did an amazing job. Steven made sure of that. And, we had a bar scene, which was needed, I think, for Arrow's fans. And Oliver repeating what he told Barry in the pilot, that he's a guardian angel, that both the Lightnings chose Barry. That was needed for Barry. Barry finally saying that he misses Caitlin, but it was explained why they didn't grieve her. They didn't grieve Caitlin because she's technically still there. Keon is still Caitlin. It's just, not really. That's why it's so challenging for this arc for Keon and Barry and Caitlin, because yes, Caitlin is resumed gone, stuck with Keon, but Keon looks exactly like Caitlin, but with blue hair and pretty much acts like Caitlin. And whenever Barry looks at Keon, he sees Caitlin. How can you grieve someone like that? You can't. A human being cannot mourn someone that is still with you. That's not possible, guys. It's just... This episode retcons so much this season that I am willing to say that this episode saved this season, and I am willing to rewatch this entire season knowing what I know from 909. There was some episode schedules. So this episode should have been like the second episode of the season. Because that would have made the Red Death arc better. That would have made everything better. I mean, what the hell? Like, it really would have made everything better. What were the writers thinking? Like, why put this in now? Put it in 908 and make Cobalt Blue the rest of the season villain. Not interludes. We didn't need that. I am glad they all connected, you know? And we got a Laurel, or a Quinn mention, Mora, Oliver's mother, and a Robert mention. We finally saw why Oliver didn't bring Robert back, which you already knew from the series finale of Arrow. But it was emotional hearing Oliver say that he couldn't bring his father back because, well, he couldn't. In fact, the timeline more than it already was. And hearing him bring up who he was in season 1 and 2 and 3 with the lists. And Steven knocked it out of the goddamn park. If anyone says otherwise, they are lying through their teeth. I don't care. Steven and Grant carried this episode. And what's even stupider is that there are people right now attacking this episode because Iris was only in it 3 times. Can you guess what fandom that is? That happened even before the episode even aired, by the way. I said, and I called it on Twitter, that the West Allen fandom group on Twitter would attack this episode because Iris isn't in it more than 3 scenes. As she damn well should be. This was not a Barry and Iris episode. This was an Arrowverse episode. Barry, Oliver, Wally, Dig, and Bloodwork. They needed to be the main focus, and they were. This was the one episode in the entire series that Iris did not even need to be in it. But she was in it 3 times, and that was enough. Let's be real. This entire season, Barry and Iris have been joined to the hip. This is the one episode where Barry and Iris did not need to be together 24/7, and they weren't. Eric Wallace knew what he was doing. And if anyone disagrees with that, rewatch 909 and tell me that again. Eric Wallace, when he has an idea and he executes it, he can make a good arc. He proved that in this one episode. He proved that in season 8. So whatever the hell was going on in the first 8 episodes, I don't know. And 9-10, my promo breakdown is going to be something else. It's going to be amazing. But I'm generally excited for 9-10. And this is, I know we've been saying it for a while, but 909 is when the final season starts. This is the final season of The Flash. This episode felt more the final season than the last 8. That's not good, but you know what? I don't care. I'm going to enjoy these last 4 episodes, and I just have to hope that they're going to be good. I really do genuinely think they're going to be good, because there's no way they can't be. I mean, with what 9-10 looks like, yeah. My excitement for The Flash is back up. It dipped in 907, 908, but 909 is a whole nother level of The Flash. And I really, really hope it's not just because Oliver came back and the writers are like, let's push everything into this episode. I also want to point out Bloodwork looked amazing. Like, way more amazing than he ever did in season 6. He actually looked like a blood monster. It was cool. It was threatening. It looked badass. And I love all those suits, by the way, of Oliver, Dick, who had a rocket launcher, by the way. Of course he did. Why wouldn't he? And Wally, his suit's kind of outdated, but it's still cool. Barry versus Wally, that CGI fight. I kind of wish it lasted longer, but, you know, whatever. Oliver had a fight scene, 2 of them. It was probably like a 2 to 3 minute fight, which is what I wanted for Oliver. It was a pretty cool fight. A lot of people have problems with Bloodwork being the villain. I love Bloodwork. I think he's one of the best villains the show's ever had, next to Thawne and Zoom, easily. So I will defend Bloodwork being this episode day in and day out, 24/7, any day of the week, because I think the guy who plays Bloodwork knocked it out of the park in the episode as well. So I'm genuinely happy and pleased with this episode. I felt like it crossed off everything I wanted in the final season, which is Oliver, and what I wanted from Oliver and Barry. 910 could be worse than 906, and I still wouldn't care. 909 saved this season for me. Easily a 10 out of 10 episode. No one can tell me otherwise. But yeah, thank you guys for watching the video. Have a good day. Have a good night. Stay safe. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.